Change your heart, change your life, change the planet.
Hey everybody, it's Tim Van Orden. In just 2 days, I'm going to be competing in the World Snowshoe Championships in Saranac Lake, New York. First time they've ever been held in the US, so I've been training really hard, getting myself in super shape, and then I got sick. So for the past 2 weeks, I've been dealing with an upper respiratory infection that makes it really difficult to breathe and train, so my running has gone way down. Trying to recover, trying to get my sleep in order, doing everything that I can to make sure that the illness is not going to get worse by training or racing. But at the same time, I also have to acknowledge that I'm not going to be at my best come race time. So I want to talk about that, because we have these ideas, we have these goals, we have these dreams or expectations, and then we have reality. We have this very complicated thing called life, and anything can happen at any time. Nowhere in my training program, my work schedule, my travel itinerary was an item called get sick. I didn't have that on my to-do list, and yet it happened. And chances are that I'm not going to be the only one there who's sick. It's probably going to be quite a few people. So many people are likely to be compromised at this event. That's just what happens in winter. So you have to take that into consideration. Goal setting can be really tricky because for most people, the goals are tied to their identity. And what I mean by that is we create these goals that are inspiring. The goal itself inspires us. Not the completion of the goal, not the end or the result, but just setting the goal. We imagine ourselves at the World Championships. We imagine ourselves on the podium. We imagine the race, and here's the guy who won the World Championships last year, and I'm running neck and neck with him. I'm keeping up with him, and I beat him because the snow is really deep and churny and turned to mashed potatoes, and he can't run in that kind of stuff, and I can because that's what I train in. And we have all these fantasy images that we play in our minds when we set goals. We don't set goals without emotion. We don't set goals without imagery. We don't just write on a piece of paper, this is my goal. No, there's a response, a physiological response, an emotional response, and imagery response in the right side of the prefrontal cortex and also the visual cortex. So goals are linked to how we feel about ourselves. And it's not just the feelings that we have, but it's often about our place in the community, our rank. So we set goals that are going to esteem us, that are going to raise our rank. If I can do X, then people are going to think Y, and that's going to be really good, because if people think this about me, then they're going to like me. They're going to watch my videos. They're going to give me money. They're going to ask me to speak. They're just going to think I'm cool if they see me walking down the street. Oh my God, there he is. Do you know he's the world snowshoe champion? Wow. Because snowshoeing is like the most popular sport in the entire nowhere. It's not a popular sport anywhere. Not even in New York State, which is holding the world championships. But that doesn't mean that it's not awesome. So, back to our story about goals and identity, and what do? This happens to everybody. It's part of being human to set goals and to attach our identity, or to have our identity send out tentacles and link into that goal and then say, it's me, it's mine, because it made me feel a certain way. I'm attached to it now, and I don't want to lose it, because I like feeling like the guy who's going to do well at the World Championships. So I can walk around months prior to the event feeling good because my goal sent out some tentacles. And I put some emotional injection in there, claimed it, and now I'm like, yeah, that's who I am. I know why you're looking at me, because you know what's going to happen in a couple months. I know you do, but they don't. It's all in our heads. But that's what we do. That's what brains do. So, first, we just have to acknowledge that that's what's going to happen. We're going to get an emotional attachment. And because of a feature of human psychology called loss aversion, we're going to be really disappointed if the outcome or the projected outcome does not equal the initial goal. For instance, I haven't raced yet. It's a couple days away, but because I'm sick, my imagery architecture up there, my prediction engine is anticipating me not doing well. Like you might hear now as I talk to you, if I try to breathe in deep, my lungs push back. So they want to push if I breathe, and racing on snowshoes is very breathing intensive. So my brain starts predicting, what is the likelihood that I'm going to have the ability to expand my lungs in the race, especially climbing a mountain twice? Not very likely. So then it starts imagining, well, what are the possible outcomes there? And they don't look good. And then it compares that feeling, that image, to the original goal. And it's like, no, I don't want this new one. I want the old one. And it gets disappointed. And then it starts creating stories about why I don't even want to go, and sour grapes. Oh, this race isn't important anyway. There's other races that are more important. This is no big deal. It's only the World Championships. The local race that I'm going to do a couple weeks after, that's so much more important. This is a constant process in the human brain. So here's how I'm going to work with it. This is my process to deal with that process. Because just because I'm aware of it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. It does happen. But I've got tools to help me get through and to still perform well when I get there, regardless of my predictions. It's not about a world championships. It's about making sure that I'm doing the training each day, making sure that I'm eating healthy each day, making sure that I can do what I can to get sleep as an insomniac each night, and getting excited about each one of those steps because they do lead towards a world championship. But the result of the World Championship won't matter to me until I'm actually in the race. And then it's not a result that I'm going to identify with. Maybe I will when the gun goes off because it's exciting. There's possibility. The possibility of me crossing the line first exists. It's quite small. Can you see the gap there? There's a gap. That's how small it is. But that possibility does exist. On any given Sunday, anyone can win. But once the race gets underway, once the gun goes off, once that adrenaline, once that need to get myself engaged in something physically discomforting has been taken care of, then I can let it go. And I can let the routines in my body and brain take over and make sure that I'm present. Am I present to my breathing? Am I present to my heart? Am I present to the feeling in my legs, in my back? Am I present to the terrain? Am I running efficiently? Am I taking short steps? Am I taking long steps? What am I doing on the uphills? What am I doing on the downhills? Am I leaning into the corners? Am I grabbing trees as I go around corners to make sure I can swing my body? There are so many things that I need to be present to in the race that if I stay focused on the goal and what place I'm going to get, I'm going to miss out on them. So goal setting and identification, it's a feature of being human. So you can't get around it. And it does have value because it gets you engaged. It gets you to take the first step because it makes the world look simple. It makes the goal look easily attainable. And it makes it look like you're the person for the job. So you take the first step. And then you interact with a world that is quite different than the one you imagined. But that's okay. You don't freak out. You say, oh, got some data. Bring it back in. Go back to the drawing board. Modify that goal and do it again. But if you only stay with the identification, you're going to get further and further and further away from the reality that shows up. And this is going to lead to massive disappointment, massive upset. And I've seen it a lot of times in races. And I used to be the guy that did that. I would throw temper tantrums if the race didn't go my way. And I'm so grateful that I have that in my past because I can see how to transform it. I've been there. I've been each step of the way in that process of transforming my perspective athletically and as I set goals. And now, 2 days before the race, sick, not really able to breathe, I'm good. How can I incorporate that into the goal? How can I work with that? How can I use strategy differently than I normally would because I now have to? I won't be able to breathe all the way in. So this race is going to be similar to being at altitude for me. So how do you race at altitude? Well, if you're from the East Coast, you definitely don't go out hard. You have to go out slowly. You have to let your lungs and heart adapt in the race. If you trigger them too quickly, you're done. Same thing when you're sick. Treat it like a race at altitude. So there's things that I'm going to do that are going to help me adapt and modify my approach and strategy in the race for the best result that I can get on that day, and to be present in the process. So I hope there's some value in this video for you, and that something I shared resonated and actually helps you to take the next step. And if you like this video and what I share, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to support what I'm up to and get a bunch of new content that's not available anywhere else, support this channel on Patreon. The link is in the description below. I've got a lot of stuff going up on Patreon that is not available anywhere else. And it's a lot of fun for me to create that community of people that are really invested in learning about this type of information and moving forward in life. I really want to do everything I can to support the people that are supporting me in this education. It's something that really, really excites me. So come on over to Patreon, $2 a month minimum to get in and check out everything that's there. All right, I love you all. Bye.